Alright guys, so welcome to another video of Vibing with Via. I'm making myself comfortable because today I want to talk about what is happening in our country, Jamaica, as it relates to the rights of people and you know, basically the position of the government where these things are concerned. Now, if you've been following the news, you would have noticed that there are two sets of individuals who would have come under great pressure and to some extent great scrutiny in recent times, and I want to shed some light on that. And I'm talking specifically about the members of the Rastafarian community and also the Maroons of Jamaica. Now, it's hard to live in a country in which the style of leadership here is democracy, yet oftentimes when decisions are being made or actions are carried out, it would seem as though we are living in a communist state, you know, a state that is ruled by a dictator. Now, let me just silence the critics who are going to come right now and say to me, but the Prime Minister did not order this and the Prime Minister did not order that. When you are in a position of leadership, irrespective of what everybody else on your team does, good or bad, as the person who is at the top, you are actually the accountable officer. You are the person who actually has to respond to everything that is going on, even if you did not give the directive. Now, I want to start off with the issue that has caused the greatest controversy in the last perhaps week and a half, and that has to do with the cutting of a young girl's hair in Zinga, her name is, while she was in police custody, you know, being locked up for what they say is disorderly conduct versus whatever else they're putting out there. Okay, in addition, we were made to understand that she was fined, I think it is $6,000 or 10 days in prison, and based on the reports that I've been seeing, apparently the money was not readily available on that day, and so she was locked up, after which her mother came and paid the money. However, when she was released was when, you know, we're being told that she did not have her locks. So the question therefore is there a rule on the book, or on the books rather, that says that an individual should be subjected to this type of treatment or this type of action once they are arrested? It's a serious question that needs to be answered, right? You know, a lot of people, I think, understand or misunderstand rather what is Rastafarianism, you know, and the rights of these people as a subgroup of our Jamaican society, and even by extension as a subgroup within the world. You know, they're people just like we are, but whether Rasta is a way of life, if we want to see it as such, or if Rasta is a religion, you know, whatever it is, shades of gray in terms of what it is in that regard. The fact of the matter is, I don't think there is anybody on earth in 2021 who can say that they do not understand the spiritual connection that Rastafarians will have with their hair. There's nobody who can tell me that they don't know that. To not know that is to not know anything about Rastas and their way of life. Now, you know, I think a lot of this misunderstanding comes about from what went on in the past. If we know anything about our history here in Jamaica, we would have known that in the 1960s, if I'm not mistaken, specifically it might have been 1963, we hear of the Coral Gardens massacre that took place. For those persons who don't know, that space is actually what is now known as the Rosal Stretch, that is down there in St. James. Now, that land was owned by a Rastafarian man. I think it was willed to him or passed out to him by someone else, and in so doing he was tending to his land when some person who was an overseer over there next door by the Great House or whatever decided that they're going to come over and have a problem with him being on what is rightfully his land. And then of course, you know what happened, right? It caused the riots and there was a lot of killing. And interestingly enough, when that particular massacre took place, guess what? This country was under the leadership of the Jamaica Labour Party. I think it is important for us to note that bit of information. Why? Because if we fast forward to 2021, the Jamaica Labour Party is still the ruling government in Jamaica. In 2017, we would have seen the current Prime Minister who, quote unquote, apologized to Rastafarianism, to Rastafarians for what had happened in the 1963 massacre. Now, how is it then that something like this could still happen months later, years later, 2021, to a young empress? It doesn't spell sense. Because if you would have stepped out on the forefront to say, I'm apologizing, and apart from me apologizing, I'm saying that there should have been compensation for X and Y and Z and for the members of their family and all of that. You know, is this all talk, or is there documentation to support this kind of a thing? And is there the constant need to rivet in the minds of us as a people that this thing had happened, and so for that reason we ought to leave these people alone? Okay, so remember that they were even given land at Pinnacle, and then after that there was a whole debate about the land at Pinnacle and them wanting this land to develop it, whether it was a personal person who needed it or whosoever needed it. The fact is that there were some external forces outside of the Rastafarian community who actually had interest in that same land, and it caused a lot of demonstration. So we have to talk about the fact that this young lady was violated. Her rights were infringed upon. She was basically placed under what I would say torture, if it is that her hair would have been cut. Now, again, we know that a case is impending, and so for this reason I'm going to say allegedly cut by a police officer. Now, I'm asking a number of pertinent questions, and you know, this is an easy one too, common sense. If she went in with her hair intact, how could she come out without it? Why would you want me to buy an argument? And this is for the naysayers who came and said, oh, but they had seen her or heard from her, the friends who said that she said she had cut her hair. Does it make sense? If when she left the courthouse and actually went to lock up, she had hair on her head, how could she come out without it? Come on, you're not allowed to take weapons into a courthouse. That's the first thing. I know. I've been to a courthouse before because I've brought somebody to court, and I, you know, felt so intimidated going there. First time in my life, I'm going to be on the inside of a courthouse representing myself. I didn't have any, you know, lawyers or anything like that with me, just me stating my claim to say, Your Honor, this is it, boom, bang, bang, bang. And I can remember all the procedures that I had to go through to get inside of the courthouse. So it's highly unlikely that she would have had the weapon on her. Now, based on what the news said, she moved directly from the courthouse to the lockup. So at one point in time, did she get the weapon? Not even weapon. Well, yes, weapon, because scissors would have been considered as a weapon, right? At what point in time did she now ascertain this instrument so that she could actually go into the lockup and cut her own hair? It's a problem. It's a big deal. There's some unanswered questions here. We'll take it a step further. I find it odd that allegations are being brought against this police officer, and at no point in time are we hearing the police officer come out to denounce that which has been said against her. I mean, at best, even without providing details, since, you know, it's a matter for court, at best she could have come out and said, hey, I am flatly rejecting this did not happen. Not even that. But yet we're also hearing that she was moved from the Four Parts police station to some other police station there in Clarendon or Manchester or wherever, right? So these are things that we need to look at. The treatment of Rasta, has always been a problem. And I believe it is because they are of the opinion that Rastas are a fierce set of individuals. And I really don't think they're fierce, not because of their appearance. You do have those who don't shave their beards, and, you know, of course, they don't cut their hair and all of that. I just believe that Rastas have always been the set of individuals who are not afraid to stand up for their rights. Get up, stand up for your rights. Bob Marley, the teachings of Bob Marley. I believe that many persons are afraid of Rastas because of the message that is to be found primarily in what is considered Rasta music. Now, we know that reggae is supposed to be Rasta music, right? Because reggae was founded right here in Jamaica, that is one. And when I say reggae is Rasta music at its core has always been talking about the struggles of the people and how to overcome them and how to become resilient, and the fact that we should fight for change. We cannot negate that. also the message for Rasta. Because if we know anything about Rasta, we know that their teachings really came out of Ethiopianism, and also the whole Pan-African movement basically purported or pushed by none other than Marcus Messiah Garvey. So by far and large, when you think about those teachings that speak about an ideal Africa and speak about kings and queens coming out of this space and how they should look to see a prince that would rise from that area, and to really get into our consciousness as to what it means to be black. Come on, if you are going to have a leader in a them time, the whose skin color don't look like mine and yours, easily a white man, what do you expect? Do you expect that this person is going to celebrate Rasta? So outside of the reggae music now, that Rasta is you know, we can't say Rasta hug up that kind of music too, because it brings the people to a different level of consciousness. We also understand that these people have their chance. If you have ever been to like a Naya Bingi or anything like that and listen to what is going on, it is infectious, you know. You don't necessarily know as an outsider what they're chanting, but you know that at the sound of the drums and you see them moving their bodies and waving their flags and everything, you know say something like one this up. So people are generally afraid of what it is that they don't understand, right? And that, I believe, is what has happened to Rasta. So we cannot negate that Rasta has contributed tremendously to what is the culture of Jamaica. And we cannot negate that Rasta, by far and large, they have also been abused. And they have been used right here in Jamaica. Think about people coming to Jamaica to rent a dread. Wherever Barley just goes to boom and put on a cap to say Rasta, and people come in here to see that. Rasta has also been associated with the use of marijuana. But I want to give you a fun fact. Not every Rastafarian actually smoke marijuana. There's an entire tribe that uses it purely for religious purposes. You know, they do it as a part of their worship sessions and not just sitting down and puffing on it. So that's a misconception that people have. But I think by far and large, that is another thing that people use now to say that, well, on the man, when it comes to Rasta, you have to talk about illegal drugs in the form of marijuana, so we should target them. What I really do like though is how members of the Rasta community have come together, the elders, the brothers, the sisters, everybody, they have come together and they're saying, look here, we're standing up for Nzinga, we're standing behind her, because what has happened here, brimstone and fire, lava, for the kind of treatment that was meted out to this young lady. And I'm in full support of that. Like, leave people alone, just stop violate people, allow them the space to be. That is what is important in any country that is going to say that what they proclaim is democracy. So at the end of the day, Mr. Prime Minister, I'm going to put it on you first and foremost. I'm going to be putting it at the feet of your Minister of National Security. I'm going to be putting it at the feet of Justice. I'm going to be putting it at the feet of the Jamaica Constabulary Force. I'm going to be putting it at the feet of whoever is the big wig, you know, the superintendent or the whoever it is that is down there by the Fort Parks police station. I'm going to put it at the feet of that individual police officer who allegedly carried out this act. It was wrong. And I also want to know what is going to be the mode of operation, what is going to be, providing that the case goes through and the findings are as such that what this young girl Nzinga has put forward is indeed true. I want to know now where the redress will come from, because a slap on the wrist, in my opinion, is not enough. That slap on the wrist is not going to be enough. The fact that somebody would have cut her hair, that is an abuse of power. And I think it is important. The first thing I know in a law class, the first thing I know I learned in law class was that nobody is above the law. So if you're the Prime Minister, the law go for you. If you're the member of a Jamaica Constabulary Force, the law is for you. If you are the street sweeper, the law is for you. If you're a picnic, based on your age, the law is for you. And so because nobody is above the law, I would really love to see how this entire thing is going to play out. Alright, so that's a one case of injustice. Let's now switch gears to talk about the second one, and that happens to be the issues that the Maroons are now faced with.
all aboard, cause the road I go start crash. Strap me in safe for the engine start up. Good food, me a pre can't get enough. It's vibing with Via. So grab your phone, grab your tablet. I this you can't miss. It's vibing with Via. And once you start this you can't quit. You are gonna love this. It's vibing with Via, vibing with Via. Yeah, we vibing with, yeah, we vibing with Via. Oh.